The show on the energy sector in Egypt and the efforts of the government to satisfy energy or provide energy to all citizens and to the investment and to industries in Egypt. And on this issue, we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Mohamed Hamza Al-Husseini, Economic Committee Director of Egypt's UN Associations. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Husseini. Let's first talk about the International Energy Electricity Exhibition that is being inaugurated right now or in a few minutes by the President. I mean, how important is it? And the timing also of the event is very important.
Yeah. First of all, President Fattah Sisi is holding this event and opening this event as a message to the foreign investment companies worldwide that Egypt is working in the energy sector, and he is monitoring the uprise and the upgrade of this implementing of this sector by himself and by the administration of the Presidential Institute. To highlight that thing, let's first talk about the climate of the energy sector in Egypt. In the beginning, Egypt, let's say in the last 4 years, have facing a lot of lack of energy between the request and the demand, and how there was no production to combine or complete the capacity of the population in Egypt. That was because of the last 20 years that our power plants, there was no maintenance, there was no new agreements with foreign companies investing in the energy sector. Based on that, we find the lack of production. The lack of production come up year by year, and your government's not moving. So what we did in the last 2 years is the first thing, as what President Fattah Sisi ordered in his first priority, the security and the energy. Because any investor worldwide, when you look to you as a spot of investment, he looked to these two fields first: the security, if his money will be secure and your country is stable for an investment operation, and the energy process. So based on that, what the government did, the first thing is they have made an agreements with the Nile company in Italy for exploring the natural gas in the Mediterranean Sea, and other natural gas field in Delta and some places in Egypt, and importing and finding a new resources for the oil and gas importing, because Egypt is not producing much fuel to cover the needs of the power plants. So based on that, finding the resources of the fuel, it's give the capacity to the power plants we have it in Egypt to reproduct or give a production line for those plants which is already have been stopped for long years. And the second point is the government, or especially the Ministry of Electricity and Energy, they find the new resources for developing in the solar energy and the wind energy by dividing the imported fuel in this 3 lines of category when it's come to the energy sector. Based on that, what happened? Based on that, you have a lot of demand, but the supply is not that much. So what you did is, you come first in the infrastructure for the power plants you did the maintenance, and you use the experience for the expertise companies in Europe, because based on that you need to look to who is the successful countries in this field. The first country is Chile. Chile in the Latin America they was facing the same problem we have faced for a long. They make the sector of the electricity and energy private. So they allow the companies to be the one who will invest and improve. So when you talk to me like that, you will ask me what we will gain from that. Any investor, when he invests in any kind of category or an industry, he wanted to gain a profits. So he will implement his sector by a new motivation points that will be using a new experienced skilled worker employees, a new tools of equipments, a new industry, a new solutions. This is what Chile did. So that brought Chile from stage 44 in the countries producing electricity and energy to number 6 or 7, and also Germany and Europe. they have used the solar energy and the wind energy, and they divide it as a 50% of the capacity of the needs of the market to the population. And also, if we talk in our region, you have Abu Dhabi, that in UAE, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was there before 2 days for the National Day, and we wanted to greet that they have a city in Abu Dhabi. It's called Masdar City. This city in the solar because you have a problem for the bidding companies come for the exploration for any gas fields or any water deeping exploration. The country was not paying. Is in the electricity. The lake happened in some lines incorporating Egypt with a different country, that we was not implementing our own skilled employees. So what did the government did? The government is hired a new professors and a new expertise come from Germany and other Europe country, which is the energy. The maintenance and the implementation in the power plant by itself, and that give an improvement to the investor when he is looking to you, that you are at the government now, you are going in a green points. This point is you are really the first in Egypt. The future, the conference had been did in Sharm el-Sheikh. We have signed an agreement with Siemens company that they will be building to us 3 new power plant. This 3 new power plant will add 14.4 giga or mega as the measurement to the capacity of the electricity in Egypt. Okay, we was not believing that this company will did that, and that was the huge contract Siemens did in the history of Siemens. This power plants, one in Bani Suef, one in Prolos, and one in the new administration city. So once you did the agreement, the Siemens have asked you at the country and administration, we need some benefits because I'm an investor. You need to give me something like free the tax, both for me infrastructure so I can bring my equipment, give me an overgrant that I can import my equipments from abroad to Egypt. I need the labor to be trained to operate that. A country look like Egypt in a recession time we was facing in the last 3 years before the administration of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, that was a problem, because how you will deal with those names and those companies and you don't have already the tools for these agreements. But in the trust of the national youth and the administration of our country, we have cooperated with those companies in that field, and now phase 1 in these 3 new power plants have been done, and they will produce in the first quarter in 2017. So by the end of 2017, starting in 2018, that will add a 20% of the capacity to the production to the electricity and the energy in Egypt, meaning there is an improvement. So there is a positive line have been done in this sector, and when you face it. Now, I was reading some articles about is Egypt really improving? The people or the regular persons in the country cannot face that. They can face the security. but they cannot face the investment, because the investment, when you talk about the economy, you need the long run plan. This long run plan, it's based from 5 to 10 years to see an improvement. This is how. Before, when you ask any investor in the free zones, for example, in Jabal Ali free zone, in Saudi, in any country in the Gulf, they will tell you we can open the company and the license online, even through the mobile application. But in Egypt, I will come to the free zone to go in a 78 discs tables to give a papers and a papers and a papers.
And maybe he won't be able to finish it.
And that's what's happening. They was not able to finish it because there is a lot of restrictions that he will face, then he will not finish. So what President Fattah Sisi did, and that was a smart idea, that he said we will make the one window to cut the 78 steps to make it in one step. It was not easy because that was a bureaucratic system in 60 years. But now, since 6 months, we have in Suez Canal the new sea zone has been done, and a lot of free zones area, they already did it. Even you can now go to any clubs or any government departments, you will find there is 6-7 departments have already connected in one e-system, e-solution system. Yeah, they are facing some problems, but they are implementing. When the investor see that, he find that you are the country, not just asking him for money, because that's what he was doing. This is the culture in dealing with the investor. But in the meantime, what you do, you are an investor coming from Europe or East Asia or Gulf region, and then you come to invest your money with me. So me as an administration, as a government, I'm telling you, the first thing, I will free your tax for the first 5 years. I will give you an overdraft. I will give you the land, for example, for free for 10 years. I will give you a facilities for importing your equipments. I will open for you an institute for training a labor here. You are doing that now in Egypt. So based of that, looking to Oxford institution, the Global Oxford Academy, they have find a positive line in the new motivation have been done by the President Fattah Sisi administration in the last 2 years. In how we are not here saying a good news to the people or giving a positive response. No, we are saying the facts. Because President Fattah Sisi, if you see him in the last 2 years, what he did, he was traveling every month to 2-3 countries, and he was opening a new bond between the East Asia, in Europe, in Russia, in the United States, in the Gulf region, worldwide. Why he was doing that? He was going first, of course, for the diplomat relation between the countries to rebuild it, because your country, it's a giant country, unfortunately, and it had been sleeping for 50 years or 40 years exactly. And then the last 4 years, you have come in a lot of things have been, there is changes have been done. So based of that, when you look to what President Fattah Sisi did, he go to the countries and try to rebond with them, and the countries is open, because Egypt is not a small country, or not just a country that anyone would waive it. No, it's an important country in the world. So after he meet the administration in any country, he will sit with the businessmen associations, the big companies, and he will give them what is now is doing, because the investor, he don't care about what's happening in your country. He care about his money. He will invest for a long run. So you as an administration, as a president, talking to the businessmen, that was a new culture. Because in the previous presidents we have, no one of them talking to the businessmen and sit with them and making a conference, attending exhibitions and events. No, he is moving, and he is moving so hard, and he is not letting the government to be sleeping. No, he is now putting departments to cut the corruption, and there is something like, let's face improvement by 28% have been done in the last 2 years. That was not happening before. So yeah, there is a negative points, but the positive points is more than happening related to the and the investment stability.
Right. Sir, I would like to go back to the first point about the exhibition that's being inaugurated today by the President, the electricity exhibition with a large number of countries participating in that exhibitions. What's the expected outcome of that exhibition?
The expecting outcome, first, the exhibition, it's held 500 companies. 500 companies, they come worldwide. And all those companies interesting in what? First thing, to show because you have almost something like, I think, 1,000 to 1,100 visitors coming worldwide to this exhibition. So they are showing in Egypt what is the service they do, what did they produce, what is the history of each company. Each company showing what they have.
Right.
So you at the country, what you will gain from that exhibition is the cooperation between those companies and between you. Why? In the energy sector and the electricity sector, this is a giant field to Egypt, and we have a lot of potential opportunities. These opportunities is not yet set to invest.
Right.
So what we can gain is, as a positive response, is to put all the requirements we have, and this is what's happening now, and the companies will show you how they will cooperate.
Okay.
So based of that, you can find it in Egypt. You are not just dealing with the 2-3 companies. You open the country for more than 20-30 companies,
Right.
and exporting your investment climate in the energy sector to the out countries, because those 500 companies, they come from a different countries.
Right.
So after they finish the exhibition, they will return back, and then they will gonna to talk in the business association about what they see in Egypt and what are the potential opportunities in this country. So the Ministry of Electricity and Energy need to show those companies what are the potential opportunities they can invest in Upper Egypt. They can invest in the solar energy.
Right.
In Ain al-Sukhna, that you have the wind energy plant. That plant will be operating next year. And you have also in Delta, and you have also in the West Desert. So those, you need a cooperation with those companies. That's why you are running the exhibition. That's it.
Right.
Right. If we talk about countries who are taking a leap in the field of solar energy, in particular the solar one, you kindly mentioned that one of the cities in UAE is currently operated and managed by solar system.
Energy.
So by solar energy. So I mean, what kind of experiences should we be able to copy from neighboring countries that could be fit here in Egypt? Because Egyptians are very eager to be able to try the solar energy, especially that it's not that expensive like the other types of energy. And Egypt, on top of all that, most importantly, is very rich in resources for solar energy.
Natural
Why
resources,
aren't
correct.
we implementing it until now?
Okay, let's put it first. What the government is aiming to do before we say what we will do. The government is aiming to upgrade the capacity of the production from the solar energy from 12% now to 20%. It means what? It means if I have 100% of the energy and the electricity running now in the country, so this need to be categorized. I need 55. I have 55% of this sector is run by the oil and gas. You have a power plants, you import oil and gas, you produce it, then you produce what? Electricity. The solar, it's the solar energy and the wind energy is just 20%. So you are aiming in 2020, you will have it as 20%. 20%, this is a huge number. What is the problem we have? The problem is that we have in Masdar city, as in Abu Dhabi, this is let's say a natural rich country in the oil and gas. So the resources to them, or the financial system of the economic is strong. So they don't have a problem to implement and discover and do a lot of things related to upgrading the energy sector to them. And the second point is, they didn't pay that from their own pocket. No, they structure a city and they say, this city is the city of energy. This city of energy, we seek investors worldwide to come and invest. And we as a government will give the infrastructure, will give the implementation, will give the laws to make it, to make the facility to everyone. So when you talk about Egypt, and you mention an impressive point, which we have a lot of, we are rich when it's come to the natural resources. The sand in UAE and the Gulf region is different from the sands in Egypt. The sand there is soft, but the sand for you, it's not soft. This can produce a lot of manufacturing and industrial material. Use it with the reflection of the sun. It means what? It means the sun in our area, or this geographic spot, it's not in the same in the planet. You are number one. when it's come to this energy. So the problem is, you as the government, you was always targeting the big investors, which they will come with the billions of dollars to invest in this solution. But the investor before, when he looked to you, he will find your history. And by the way, Egypt was the first country in the Middle East to do the solar energy in 1860 by Ktawi Ismail. I think it was in Maadi. So you have that industry for an ages. But now the solution to this industry is expensive. This is the problem. So you as a government was thinking before, now you have changed this culture, because before you was thinking about, if I invest in the solar energy, I will face three problems. Problem number one, I have a lack of financial resources to support this solution and this equipment. Number two, I don't have a trained laborers and a professional engineers can cover up this field. Number three, I don't have a companies to make a marketing for this field. Because why? Because after you produce the solar energy, you need to make a marketing for that, and then you need to give it to the market. You don't have a represented companies for that. So what happened in the Egypt the Future conference? You already put that in the table, and it was a smart movement from the administration to our country, because we copy exactly what happened in Masdar. How? In Suez Canal, you have a new extension now called the Energy City. Now the administration is running the infrastructure. It will be finished by end of this year, I think, or next year. And you have make an MOA agreements with foreign companies, look like in Europe, look like in the Latin companies, and the Egyptian ambassador in Mexico have invited the Latino companies in Mexico and Chile and Brazil and all of this region to come and invest in this city. And once our Minister of Electricity and Energy traveled to UAE before a couple of days, I think, or a couple of weeks, he also talked about the energy city and the potential opportunities that those companies can come. All of that was not moving, or all of that, the investors was not looking to you. Why? Because you was not running in a process of a trust between the bond between you and with the investors. The investors is willing to come to Egypt, but they are afraid before. But now you did one of the biggest things, which is floating the bond. So this is for, you already free the currency. So for any investor, you did a motivation point, which were already attracting everyone. Why? Because the goods and the production goods you will do as a company, it will be cheaper than the outside. This is number one. Number two, the labors to you is more cheaper than the outside. Number three, as what you mentioned, this country is rich of the natural resources. So now the government, even in this exhibition, is now trying to conduct or cooperate with the different companies, because the government itself cannot do that. Now you find from last year, you have something like 25 companies marketing the solar energy now in Egypt. Now you find that there is 3 giant companies in Europe and China. They are coming next year to come in the administration city. So before, you was right that we was not aiming to do that because the culture was different. But now the new soul of the administration to the country, open it as a private sector. So whatever you wanted to do, ask me in the government and I will do it to you. All of that was stopped up to this month. Why? In Egypt the Future Conference, we said to the investors, and we give a word to the investors, that the investment law will be finished in the new investment law that everyone is waiting in 2-3 months. We take 2 years to make this investment law. Finally, praying to Allah that in this by end of December, the investment law will be published. Once the investment law will be published, the investor in this industry or any other industry will be interesting to cooperate with you. Why? Because in any investor, the most important things to him is 4 things. The first thing is entering his money. Second thing is outcome his profit. Third thing is dealing with the country, respect the rules and regulation. Number 4 is the security. And now the 4 things, you already did it. You was facing the first 2 problem for the dollar. Because the dollar from a currency, the Egyptian market make it as a goods, a product. And now, by this brave decision you take, you killed the black market, and you just deal with the banks now, so the dollar in everywhere. So me as an investor, there is no problem because it's based on the demand and supply. So I can bring my money to Egypt, so safe. And I can bring the dollar out of Egypt also, so safe, easy. And number three, that this investment law, which will be published by end of this month, it will give me as an investor, because what was happening before in the 90s and the first of 2000, me when I come to invest for example, in the real estate or any industry, you as a country, you will find there's a corruption system here. Then you will take the land from me, you will take the city I built from me, and you will make me lose everything. Then I will go with you in the courts. Now what happened is, you bought this investment law, so you bought it look like a line between the two sides, the country and the private sector. And this is, once it's done, that the investors will be aiming to cooperate with you for what you are showing as an opportunity.
Right. Dr. Mohamed Hamza Al-Husseini, Economic Committee Director of Egypt's UN Association. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Pleasure, ma'am.
And thank you for coming. And now we're going to go to a short break. I will come back to you, so stay with us.